Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DaveyATalks. I hope you're well. It's getting cold. Winter is upon us, and at the time of recording, we've had some snow and some ice and some chills in the air. It won't last. We never get a white Christmas over here, but with a chill and that frosty kind of vibe of a morning, it makes you want to get home, snuggle up, and put something on the TV or watch a movie. And it's why I've got this episode ready to play to you guys, because I'm excited. Not only is it a chance to talk about a fandom that I don't really talk about much, but also because it's to commemorate an anniversary. But before I get into all that, I've got to get a guest on. As you know, folks, I tend to thrive a lot better and perform a lot better when I have someone to chat with. And in this case, it's a returning guest, a chap that I've spoken to about wrestling in a previous episode. And since finding out that he's got a certain fandom that I'm also sharing with him, I thought, why not get him on and chat about his love of this particular fandom, why he likes it, and also to commemorate an anniversary. But I'll go into that in a few moments. But let's get him on first of all before I start babbling, as I tend to do. A nice return welcome to Mr. Antony Goldstein. Hello, sir.
Not too bad. Thank you for having me again.
It's a pleasure. It's always nice to get a recurring guest back on, because we've already established how we work together and how conversation can flow. So it's nice to have a catch-up chat and talk about different things. Last time we talked, it was predominantly a wrestling episode.
Yes.
We chatted about our fandoms of it, how much we love it, why we return to watching various matches, and what our favourites were. But in this instance, I'm taking a completely different turn, because we're going down a sci-fi route, folks. That's right. Science fiction is a very popular genre that I'm really into. You mentioned movies or franchises such as Star Wars, Terminator, RoboCop, just to name a couple. They're all iconic franchises that deal with big sci-fi themes and have big viewscapes and characters and ships and planets and worlds and all these kind of things. And it keeps drawing me in, whether it be reading, comic books, TV shows, movies. But this episode, we're going to be celebrating an anniversary, a 30-year anniversary that sparked this chat. And I'm sure, Antony, you know about this.
Yes.
You're a Trekkie like me. You're into Star Trek just like me. And it is a Star Trek episode. But this is coming at a time when we're celebrating 30 years of a certain Star Trek movie. Now, 30 years ago, the world was given a bridging movie that bridged the original series with the iconic Next Generation cast. I am, of course, talking about Star Trek Generations. A fantastic movie that brings William Shatner's Captain Kirk and Patrick Stewart's Jean-Luc Picard together to do this big adventure across timelines, time zones, with various characters, and a nice, like I say, a bridging of old and new in a big movie setting. Straight away off the bat, how cool is Generations?
It is really cool. It's like a nice way to kind of like a passing of the torch in a way, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because obviously at the start of it, spoiler alert.
Thank you.
They are setting off the Enterprise B with some of the original Enterprise's crew's people on board on their just normal journey, but it doesn't turn out that way.
It doesn't turn out that way at all. It's a really, really good movie. And while we're bound to dive into it, I'd like to just backtrack for a moment. In terms of our fandom of Star Trek, I've been not an honorary Trekkie, but I've been a fan of Star Trek for a good chunk of my life, starting obviously with glimpses and watching occasional episodes from the original series, the classic William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy series. What was your earliest memory of Star Trek, and which Star Trek did you start watching?
So the earliest memory for me being about 98, 99. So obviously when Star Trek was happening at that time, Deep Space Nine was in its fourth coming to its end of its run, and Star Trek Voyager was in the middle of its run.
Yeah.
But I started watching reruns of original series and Next Generation on good old cable Channel 2.
Wow, that was a prime time to come home and put BBC Two on and watch a bit of TNG, or TOS as they're kind of abbreviating them now.
Yeah, because I remember back then it was between 5 and 7, 5 and 6 being episodes of TOS, 6 and 7 be TNG. Then on the weekend they do an omnibus.
That's right, yeah.
They replay the previous week's episodes on the Saturday or the Sunday, then go it again. And then as the years went on after Deep Space Nine and Voyager ended, they did the same again.
Do you know, I don't often miss an omnibus. It's something I used to watch every weekend, whether it be watching a bit of Corrie as a full week's worth, or watching a bit of, The Bill on Bravo or something, or Star Trek, like you say. There's a lot to be said for the catch up on a Sunday afternoon of just binge watching I know these days people tend to, they'll binge a show on Netflix or,
Yeah.
Paramount or Prime or whatever. But for me back in the day, it was waiting till the weekend and catching up on your favorite show and watching 5-6 hours of it, not worrying about what's going on outside. You just put your feet up, get the telly on, and binge. You never go wrong with Star Trek. There's always something for everyone.
Considering nowadays where it's more like accepted and all, kind of like with the likes of wrestling and everything like that. Back then, like it was kind of like one of those you were a bit afraid to speak of. Oh, I'm a fan of Star Trek because then everyone be like, what are you talking about, lad? Go away.
I don't know why Trekkies get ridiculed, They're not a bad fandom at all to have. And globally, fans are well renowned for being epically good.
Yeah.
The lengths that they go to, whether it be costumes for a cosplay event or whether it be showcasing a certain movie or a series and having an event based on it. They're really, really good people. And I dare say it's a show, it's a franchise that brings a lot of people together. Like a lot of fandoms do. If you're a fan of something, if you're all passionate, it's simply like a no-hate zone. It's like going into the neutral zone in Star Trek, all welcome parties, even if you've got differences of opinion. You all come together for this one common interest. At least that's how I see it anyway. I think peace should be allowed and welcomed.
Yeah. To be fair, Star Trek paved the way for quite a bit of the technology we have nowadays. Like some stuff in Star Trek, you're seeing like 5-10 years later.
We're like a way off from getting, mobile phasers to shoot people with.
Yeah.
But what's the most dominant kind of gaming tech at the moment? Virtual reality. It takes me to the holodeck on the Next Generation where they all have their relaxation times.
Yeah.
Virtual reality worlds, they can release their kind of relaxation kind of vibes and take their mind away from flying a big ship by going to a virtual world and distracting themselves for a couple of hours. It's somewhat ironic that you're on this amazing ship, whichever version you're on, which is full of all this amazing technology and can do amazing things. And yet you want to go into a room and pretend you're on a beach in the Midwest or something. I love that kind of historical, let's go down history kind of route that they go and they rediscover things that they've read in books or on screens where they can go and live it in a virtual reality world.
It's just amazing.
I think those are some of certainly for Next Generation, they're some of my favourite episodes when they focused on something that happened in the holodeck.
Yeah.
Even when some of the characters got out because they were allowed to walk past the barrier and they were walking around the deck of the Enterprise.
Good old Moriarty, spoiler alert.
It's cool though. I like the idea of a fictional character walking out of a door that he thinks is in like some like Victorian age to this futuristic world where they're flying in space and they're baffled by it. It's one of the things just to meet you one of your favorite characters from a book or a show, and if you get to shake their hand in a virtual world and feel like it's actually happening. It's weird. I mean, I don't know what I'd type into that particular search engine when it wants to make a virtual world. The possibilities are endless, but I'd be probably boring, like setting up at a Toby carvery and sitting a roast dinner because they won't serve a proper Toby on the ship, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, just good old fashioned replicated rubbish.
I can't be excited by the replicator because that's not real food or drink.
Unless if Garnon's got a real roast dinner waiting around for you.
If you can go to what's their bar called?
10 Forward.
10 Forward, that was it. If you go to 10 Forward and ask for a roast or a full English, I'd be like, yeah, I'm there. But you're talking hundreds of years in the future, they won't know what a full English is. They'll just think it's someone from England who was full. They wouldn't think it's an actual meal.
Yeah. Unless if you've got a historian like Data or anyone like that.
I think we're dominating too much on the fact that it's a sci-fi classic about my own personal food taste, and that's not what it's about. It's about our love for adventure and science fiction stories with great characters and visuals and storytelling.
Yes.
I mean, with Star Trek, it's such a wide spectrum. There are many ways you can come at it, whether it be the movies, whether it be one of the many TV shows that the show has. It's hard to kind of pick a starting block. Obviously, original series is the original starting block that kind of paved the way. But I would argue that if you wanted to just have a dabble at watching something Star Trek based, you don't necessarily need to watch the original series to take some enjoyment from Star Trek. You could watch Voyager and get a really good character-driven sci-fi show about a team of people that have been stranded and just want to get back home by any means necessary. You don't necessarily have to have the history of Kirk and Spock and the Enterprise and so on. Each story, each spin-off has its own merits. You've got Deep Space Nine, which is the premier in the mobile tavern of sci-fi shows. Everyone comes and goes through that space station and the stories and the adventures they bring. We have Enterprise, which was a bit lackluster, but it did show us early stages of the Federation branching out into space and stuff, which we can acknowledge. Although the show wasn't that good, it was cool to have Scott Bakula at the helm because Mayfair was playing Sam in Quantum Leap, so it was nice seeing him back in a sci-fi show. But Enterprise was a letdown.
Yeah,
but I guess it had to be made to kind of show an origin story. And I know they kind of touched on that in other shows,
Yes.
flashbacks and cameos, even a bit on, I think it was on Deep Space Nine where they went back to the original series.
Yeah.
And they were on that Enterprise, albeit trying to work in the background and not affect history and so on. But I like those nods of going back to the old days because it's a reference point to as dated and as boxy and as, let's face it, studio based as the original series was.
It paved the way.
Exactly.
It literally paved the way for a lot of science fiction because obviously back in the 60s, like special effects weren't really big thing, but obviously Gene Roddenberry, the guy who created Star Trek, God rest his soul, obviously demand of him and obviously special effects and all back then compared to now, where literally you've got literally computers and everything like that. It just shows you how good their mind was to just literally think, right, bam, 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 that's the show.
I remember years ago having like a Haynes manual that you get for cars, but it was the Enterprise D technical manual. And I gave it away to a dear friend of mine, Susie, if you're listening. I hope you've still got it, by the way. But it was a full like schematics of the entire ship, top to bottom. We're talking how the engines worked, how the warp drive was powered, how the holodeck worked, how the replicators were able to replicate food, how the saucer section was piloted when it separated, because that was another game changer. Up until Next Generation, we had the standard kind of Enterprise with, the circular main deck and the two warp nacelles at the back. And then Next Generation comes around and they're gone, hang on, what can be different about this? Well, first of all, the ship looks really strange because the saucer is ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
And even on those initial panning shots of Next Generation where you see the camera kind of focus solely on the saucer section, it just looks like a big circle with an engine on the back. And to me, it looks really weird. However, as it pans out and you see the scale of it, you realize it's a separate ship. So when it goes into emergency mode, it can actually fly off and the captain goes to the battle bridge, the tiny bridge. But I thought, that's a great idea that it could actually separate and become two separate ships and transport people to one place while they fly off and go into battle or wherever.
Yeah.
That was a really, really great innovation for the ship.
Yeah.
And it really brought me to an episode when Riker's in his early days trying to prove himself. And he's trying to basically park the saucer section back in with the main kind of dock.
Encounter at Farpoint, episode 1, season 1.
Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah.
And he's trying to show off. And I thought, I'd be the guy who's at the back going, back a bit, back a bit, back a bit, left a bit. And he's just making it look so smarmy and smooth, just backing it and docking it in. And they're all looking at him. I can do it manually. And they're all like impressed with him. Even Data, the android's like,
yeah,
I want a piece of this guy. Like this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But you really thought that there's gonna be a guy with a couple of paddles like, come on, back it up, boys, keep it up. He was a smarmy little git, Riker, but he was worth it. He was cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, still is.
He's the guy who can get on a chair in the coolest way known to man.
And no one else can pull it off.
I've tried to mount a chair from the back the same way Riker does, and I just keep catching my gizzards on the top of the chair. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to mention gizzards, but I can't sit on a chair that Riker does.
It's called the Riker maneuver for a reason.
It's not just about combat techniques, it's how you mount a chair.
Yes.
Take note, folks, take note. But there's so many ways to come out. Like you've got original series, you've got Next Generation, you've got Deep Space Nine, you've got Voyager, you've got Enterprise, you've got Discovery, you've got Picard, which has been amazingly well received to bring the old cast back in.
Strange New Worlds as well.
Strange New Worlds as well, which deals with Captain Pike, so Kirk's predecessor.
Yeah.
There's just so many avenues you can go down. Even the original series was made to an animated series as well. You could go watch that. That went for 4 or 5 seasons.
And if you wanted to, you could go down the gaming route as well.
Of course, there's plenty out there. It's really, you're spoiled for choice in terms of how you can consume Star Trek. If you like alien worlds, it's got it. If you like interesting looking planets, it's got it. Amazing characters, weird but amazing looking vehicles or transportation, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of something for everyone. It includes drama and excitement and action.
Yep.
And gripping storylines that keep you going on to a further episode.
Yeah.
Such as Encounter at Farpoint. They made it into a couple of episodes. The storytelling really does work. Yes, it can be considered far-fetched because let's face it, we're talking about stories that happen in a supposed future with alien beings from multiple galaxies coming together, which, it's all hypothetical right now. But it's the coming together of different ideals, different races, all coming together as one for the benefit of a peaceful existence. And that's ultimately what we strive for in this world, is to all get along. In this future, wars have all been abolished. Everybody works together. There's no money anymore because we all just do it to better ourselves and make humanity better. Well, I think, I'd like to be paid for building this massive statue. I get the idea behind it. Nobody's getting paid. We're all just doing it to make peace happen and coexist in a really nice way. And I like that aspect
Yeah.
of it. There's no get up and go to think, why should I go to work because I'm not getting paid for it? This is more of, I'm going to work because the world's a better place because of it.
Definitely.
And I love that message. It's something that they mentioned in Star Trek First Contact. One of the human characters, like, you don't get paid. He's like, no, because I'm helping humanity. We do to better the world. We don't get paid. And it's like, that's how the mentality of that particular movie was when they went back in time, even though it was a future time. People were still doing things because they wanted to get paid or because they saw some gain from it. And to be told, well, no, we don't need money anymore. It just blew my mind. If we don't need money, let's all just get stuff done. Simple as that. That's a great movie. I would like to jump into movies, however. Again, there's quite broad spectrum. You've got original series movies,
Next generation movies.
You've got the J.J. Abrams movies. There's again various ways you can tackle that. If you want to be a purist, you can just watch the original William Shatner movies. Get a lot of enjoyment from it. Great characters. Referring to Khan, of course, because that epic scene when he screams Khan. Search for Spock is a really good movie in my opinion. I even like The Voyage Home, as cheesy and as 80s as it was.
Yeah.
Seeing Leonard Nimoy cover his pointed ears with a little beanie hat or a bandana.
Yeah.
Thought, they're never going to spot that he's a Vulcan, are they? No, he's garishly tall with weird eyebrows, but his ears have been covered, so it's fine.
Yes.
It's a strange one, but I liked the going back in time and going back to like the 80s to kind of blend in kind of thing, even though they're wearing Starfleet uniforms. But it's great adventures with great characters, and again paved the way, like we've said many times, by the original series. I think William Shatner's Captain Kirk really stole the show as an iconic captain.
Yeah,
driving this engine of Starfleet captains and his crew through various adventures, and just a great actor.
Yes. Speaking of which,
go on.
Obviously, guys, you aren't going to be able to view this, but I am now showing a photo of when I met
Bill Shatner.
Yes.
Holy hell! Oh, you know what's weird about that picture, folks? Is Antony's wearing a red shirt, a red, and I said a red employee shirt. Then a red crewmate's shirt from Star Trek. Now, historically speaking, anyone in a red shirt who's an ensign are usually the ones that get killed off first,
especially in TOS.
I remember they did a clip of it on Family Guy, and it was like, okay, we're going to go to the planet. Mr. Worf, you're with me, Mr. Data, and Ensign Ricky. And he goes, oh, crap. Because he knows he's not going to survive, Yeah. Just because he's in a red shirt. Oh, dear. Iconic captains, iconic movies. I think we'll go straight back with the movie section. Have you got a particular series of movies that are your go-to?
So I haven't got particular series of movies, but for me, I'd say my favourite films is between Rafa Khan, because I will say this, Ricardo Montalban, I'm not too sure how you say his surname, but
I can't pronounce it. He was a Naked Gun as well. He was cool in that.
But yeah, he was perfect in his reprise as Khan, as he was in TOS in episode something. But the episode is called Space Seed, if you want to go check it out on Netflix or Paramount Plus, whatever. But his reprise of that character, it was just like, this is the villain at that moment in time in Star Trek, of course. And then obviously you had like all like the little layers. Obviously you had Kirk debating whether to spoil it, retire and whatnot. Then obviously you had the introduction of all the other like little layers and everything like that. And then obviously in the end, that scene, I don't want to spoil it no more.
You got iconic villains. I mean, I tend to favour, when it comes to watching like a movie marathon in terms of Star Trek, I tend to favour the Next Generation movies as my go-to.
Yep.
While I love the originals, and although they were not given the best review, I do quite like the J.J. Abrams ones, just because it was kind of a different retelling. It's not necessarily sticking with the original lore of the Star Trek characters we know and love.
Yes.
But I like that it was given an alternative spin. But certainly the Generations movies, Next Generation movies, I should say, are my go-tos. I love Generations. I love First Contact. I loved Insurrection, is it?
Yes.
I always get that one wrong. And of course, Nemesis. Now, they're all great movies and characters that I followed a lot growing up. Like we mentioned, watching on BBC Two of an evening or doing a binge watch. The fact that we get to see these TV characters given more depth of character and more of a wide audience kind of exposure through the cinema screen. It gave us a chance to see them in not a normal light, because with it being TV, you kind of held back. But the fact that we get to see some swear words
in
the movie versions, made me think, oh my God, these have stepped up. You
Yeah,
know, whilst, the two swear words that stick out is obviously
yeah.
Data saying, we're going to have to say it. He says, oh shit. Now, years and years of them studying history of these earthlings from back in the day who used foul language and didn't say such things. In the future worlds, they don't say swear words, they say normal words. They don't let any foul stuff come out of their mouth. But when you've got an android who's about to see a ship crash into a planet, you're going to swear. It's just going to come out. I loved it. Also with Riker saying, I don't know if was it in Nemesis or was it in Insurrection? I'm not sure which one it was. But he says, like, we're through running from these bastards. I'm like, yes, Riker.
Insurrection.
Riker was obviously cool, but the fact he's now swearing in the future makes him ultimately cooler.
That was just before he got the joystick out to pilot the ship.
Yes. It's because he's cool. I can drive stick. It's easy. It kind of put me in mind for when Christian Bale's Batman says to Gary Oldman's Commissioner Gordon, can you drive stick? Is that what they say in America? It's a gear stick in cars. Can you drive stick? I can imagine he could do quite a good J-turn in the Enterprise. It'd be quite an interesting one. Like,
maybe the Enterprise A, not so much.
No, but I couldn't imagine like a rip off of Fast and the Furious. It's like Starship Drift or something. They're just spinning around planets and stuff. It could happen,
Yeah.
if you listen in Hollywood. But yeah, it's nice to get some language that made me kind of appreciate them even more, made them more kind of like our wavelength, our wavelength, I should say. Because, every now and then a curse word comes out.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
And I don't want to be in a way where I'm going to go, oh, you bloody fool, when I really want to say, bastard or something. You just want to let it out. And it was cool that they kind of had that kind of 20th century vibe coming from them.
Yeah.
When you see Data, when his emotion chip starts playing up and he's going through all these emotions, it's a bit like whenever you see like a flashback episode of like I don't know, Superman or something, or Spider-Man, and you see them getting their powers for the first time and all their senses have been heightened and things are going wrong and they can't control their emotions, or puberty for a human, things are changing. You're emotional, you're angry, you're sad, whatever it might be. He's been given this onslaught of emotions and he can't deal with it. I loved it in First Contact. I think when they're about to face the Borg, the zombies of the future, they're about to go in and take them on. And Data says, "I think I'm gonna, I think you should switch off your emotion chip." And he just does this little click, like a little cool nod of the head, and he switches it off and he says, "It's been deactivated." And Picard just says, "Data, there are days when I envy you."
Yes.
Like, just imagine you could just switch off the fear and just go and face it. Oh God.
Yeah.
Just a cool character. Brent Spiner really did a great job bringing Data to life.
Have you seen Picard or not?
I have seen some of Picard's. I have not seen the whole thing in its entirety, but spoiler alert, guys, Data in some form does come back. Now, I know it's a bit difficult to have the same actor from 20, 30 years ago come back, and without sounding offensive, he doesn't look the same as he did when he was in Next Generation. But I've got to say fair play to them for reprising the role.
Yeah.
Because it's a great nod to an already established massive fan base.
Yes.
And let's face it, we all wanted to see it. If Picard's coming back and he's trying to get the old crew back together, the old gang back together, Data in whatever form has to be there.
Yes.
While we are on the Next Generation movies, obviously we've touched on First Contact and the Borg being, the zombies trying to assimilate and take over the world and everything. Yes. To go back in time to stop it. Great. Loved it. Loved the whole reference to how the humans first got a chance to step into the space world with their first warp drive and stuff like that. That whole time travel, how can we change the future kind of thing. We see Picard lose it when he's not able to keep his ship anymore.
Yeah.
But I think for me, seeing the characters evolve from Generations to Nemesis, it shows that a lot of attention of detail was given to these characters. You want to give them the send-off they deserve.
Yeah.
Nobody knew when Nemesis came to an end that we would be seeing Picard and the crew come back years later in a TV series. No one was expecting it.
Yeah.
We thought this was just the ending of their story while we move on to another one. An emotional ending. Nemesis had both good and bad reviews, but a lot of good takeaways from it. We got Tom Hardy doing a fantastic job as Picard's clone, who's working alongside the Romulans. We've got great battle sequences with yet another Enterprise because they keep getting blown up. And as you know, what did Picard say? There's plenty more letters in the alphabet.
Yes.
Because they keep getting destroyed. But I think the big takeaway from Nemesis was the really emotional goodbye send off to Lieutenant Commander Data.
Yeah.
Because even though he wasn't using an emotional state at the time, he, again, spoiler alert, folks, there's a lot of these, he just sacrificed himself to save everybody by blowing up a reactor on an enemy ship before it could destroy everyone, sending him into the beyond as an obliterated cyborg, but leaving bits of his memory behind so it could be reused again. But even thinking about it now, even trying to talk about it, I still see that sequence when he saves Picard, sends him back to his own ship, and then blows everything up. It was just that goodbye.
Yeah.
In a very monotone voice because he didn't want to cry. As you know, if you listen to Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2, I know why you cry, but it is something I can never do. It's like,
yeah,
Data was the same. He couldn't cry, but he just switched it off, sent Picard to safety, and blew everything up. What an emotional goodbye to a great iconic character. Where he was lumpy in the throat as I was when it happened.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely such a moment and all that.
I promised I wouldn't cry, and they blew him up. It's not fair. It's not fair. We mentioned the use of a lot of letters when naming the Enterprise ships.
Yes,
because they don't often survive. Which version of the Enterprise has been your favorite?
I think for me, I've got to go with the Enterprise A, but not the TOS version.
Okay.
So, where they get the upgraded version in, I think it's Star Trek 5.
Yes.
The very weird film, as I call it, the Shatner ones.
Yes.
The whole search for Spock. I feel like that kind of like
is that Undiscovered Country, that one?
No, that's number 6. Number 5.
Ah, right, I'm with you.
Number 5's the final frontier where spoiler alert, they go searching for God.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, that whole madness. So I feel like that bright white layout kind of modernized the Enterprise a bit. So for me, that's my favorite, just purely on the fact it was like proper, like it felt futuristic.
Is that when they were going into the
Great Barrier?
Yeah, and they're all kind of looking through the view screen, and you see the camera pan out, and you see the Enterprise come up, and it's all violins are playing. We all get, even I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. They're all like, "Oh my god, look at the ship! Oh my god, she's back!" And why am I getting so excited about an inanimate object? But oh my god, she looked good.
The one with Spock's brother.
The ship looked great, and I can understand why you would pick it out as your favorite. I think for me, the one that stood out was the First Contact one.
Yeah,
I like that kind of elongated kind of main vessel shape. It wasn't that kind of huge, oversized round saucer anymore. Obviously, because it was destroyed in Generations, but we won't go into that right now.
Yeah.
But I like that particular version of the ship. While we see many different renditions of the Enterprise, because they keep blowing the goddamn things up, I just think they became sleeker and more streamlined and really amazing looking ships.
Yes.
I think the designs were fantastic. They look like they'd be a great place to be working on.
Oh, most definitely. Any Star Trek ship would be.
Of course. There've been some interesting designs of other Federation ships, but I think the Enterprise always stands out as the key, most recognised one. There are, other ships out there that stand out. Like the Defiant, the ship that Worf flies in Deep Space Nine and further on, which he gets heckled about being a little ship. Even though it's not technically a little ship, it's not up there with a Galaxy class starship.
Yeah,
I love that little back and forth between him and Riker. And he says, "Tough little ship," and he goes,
"Little." I like it in First Contact as well, where Riker walks him over to the tactical. It's like, "You do remember how to fire phasers?" Then he's just like,
"If you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand.
Get off my bridge."
Literally, it's so good. I remember watching a documentary. It was on Sky Movies, if you can remember such thing back in the day. I know Sky Movies is on now, but this is like the old version. And they'd have like a behind-the-scenes interview with the cast of First Contact. And they were all taking the mickey out of Michael Dorn. Like you'd see Patrick Stewart go, "Oh, if you weren't the man you are, I would kill you where you stand." Just proper winds on him up. I thought that's just genius. But again, it's the characters, the fact that Worf is a Klingon. He's joined the Federation, and he's got that much pride that if anyone else spoke to him the way that Picard did, he'd basically slice their head off. But he's got so much respect for Picard as the captain that he will just accept what he's told him.
Yeah.
And that's again, it sets how the classes and the standards of the characters and the actors have been, the respect has been given.
Rule 101, ladies and gents, don't piss off a Klingon.
No, because they do bad things.
Yes.
They walk around with, is it Battlet or Battlet?
Yeah.
That kind of curved sword they have, yeah?
Batleth.
That is dangerous.
Yeah, just no.
When they're eating a bowl of what looks like worms, and I know they call it gach with that kind of at the end of it. It's a proper Scouse language, isn't it? Gach.
Gach.
Give
me a bowl of that gach, lad.
When you see someone saying, "I want some chicken and a can of Coke," they could be Klingon. They're not. We don't talk like that in Liverpool. We don't. Not anymore, anyway. Are you Scouse or a Klingon? I could be both, yes.
Literally. I do have a question for you, sir.
Go on.
Do you have a favourite captain or captains?
It's so spooky because my next point of reference is going to be, shall we talk about our favourite captains? Wow, you're in my head. The standout's going to be obviously Captain Kirk and Captain Picard because they're so iconic and so leadership based. But I do think that Janeway was a great captain in Voyager. A great turning point to have a female lead in a Star Trek show, but really led the cast well and took no crap of anyone. You know, if you're on Voyager or any ship that's female led, I argue that they're all very, very strong captains and can do the job really well. So she just stand out as a high contender, but it is always going to be Kirk and Picard for me. How about yourself?
So for me, like, it's between Picard and Janeway.
Okay.
So obviously for me, like, obviously Picard, he didn't really take no all rubbish to an extent. And obviously he always, like, tried to put the crew first, tried to put himself on away missions, but it didn't always work out that way. And then he just had the respect of everyone. Whereas obviously with Janeway, obviously it was the first Star Trek female-led captain. Obviously they were, spoiler alert, 75,000 light years away from home. So she just had to do what she did to, like, get them home. And obviously she did meet friends, enemies along the way and all that. But, you know, if you want to know what happens, go and check it out on Netflix or Paramount Plus.
Great. I mean, I think with Voyager, the one of the main kind of draws for that show was the fact that the crew added a member of the Borg.
Yes.
And oh my God, did they pick a doozy with Jerry Ryan?
Yes.
She's very Borg-esque, isn't she?
She's still a nice looking lady today.
She is, you know, playing 7 of 9, of course, been detached from the Borg and had most of the implants taken out of her body. But didn't leave much room for imagination, let's put it that way. It's like, come on, don't they have loose-fitting clothes in the future? Why is everything got to be figure-hugging and tight? Oh, I see why. Right, okay. It's to get the sex element up, of course it is. But a great addition. You know, we spent years hating the Borg, hating the fact they want to kill everyone and take off their bodies and make everyone a zombie. Because let's face it, this is the Gene Roddenberry version of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
You know, these Borg people that just want to take over every race they tackle and make it past their own collective. And even, again, just going back to First Contact for a moment, this sequences in there were actually genuinely scary. You're going off into a darkened room and suddenly all the lasers come on, they're getting attacked by zombies, being caught outside and taken over. It's up there with some really kind of horrific moments.
Especially as a kid watching it.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It really is. It still gets me a bit on edge when I watch it now, and even though I know what's going to come, it's sort of like, oh, okay, it's a bit dark. Oh, they've got zombies' heads. Oh, God. It's scary. It's scary. I don't do well with zombies, even if they are in a future sci-fi world. But yeah, really cool addition to the cast of Voyager. You know, this is again a whole new bunch of characters that are just trying to get back, and we get to see new alien races and new technologies,
new worlds,
which is ultimately where Star Trek really does do well, because we're not just on one planet and then it just screenshots to another planet. We're traveling with them to these planets. We're communicating with races and with the worlds or the lifetimes or the time zones. And I think that's why the shows work so well. It's that whole like sense of community and the coming together. You know, some of the episodes of various shows can just be set in the bar on one of the ships or sat on a planet for the whole episode. But it's that acknowledgement that we can all exist together and help each other out. That is why the message of Star Trek is so adored. I mean, who doesn't want peace? You know what I mean? And a decent replicator Toby Carvery, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, we can work on that. We can work on that.
Aside from captains, do you have any favourite characters across, whether it be the movies, the shows?
For me, it's got to be Q, John Delancey. For me, like some people say, he's a villain, but for me, he's kind of like a vigilante-ish sort of thing. Vibe.
Okay.
Because obviously, spoiler alert, again, in Encounter at Farpoint, he gives Picard and the crew a chance.
That's right, yeah.
Then obviously he leaves them alone, not for very long and all, but then he keeps coming back and he does some mad stuff. He does the character that you hate to love to hate sort of thing, because he just brings that, like, the party and all.
I think that's the thing with Q, is you never know when he's going to turn up, and when he does, something strange is going to happen, whether he be in a costume you don't expect, whether he be dressed as a Starfleet captain or an admiral, whether he be changing people's positionings on the ship, transporting them different places. A cool, unexpected element that really just brings entertainment.
Especially when Cisco punched him in the face.
Well, you know, Cisco is cool, let's face it. If you're going to be sat on essentially a service station in space, you want a cool character, and Cisco is that cool character. He takes no crap of anyone. He's a trained Starfleet captain. He's dealing with a lot of crap, a lot of admin, a lot of paperwork. And, you know, he's got a goddamn shapeshifter as a security guard. This is all strange scenarios. I never get his name right, but it's Rene Auberjonois, is it?
God rest his soul, yeah.
He was great in Batman Forever.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, Rene was a great addition to that cast playing Odo,
Yes.
the changeling, and it was it was like when they go back to like an episode devoted to him, and like at some stage during the day he has to revert back to the liquid state and be in a bucket.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you're this hardcore security guard who can change his shape and be like the T-1000, but during the day you've got to go and sit in a bucket as a pile of water. Okay, I think people would know, right, he's going to be
Yeah.
away from us between 8 and 10. That's when we'll steal all the gold pressed latinum, because that's what is fueled in that particular part of the world. Well, they have an ear for business, two big fat ears to be exact. But another side of life, it's not just about flying ships. There's the bartering of different cultures. You've got Quark is this really nasty piece of work running a bartering part of the world, and he wants to get as much gold press latinum as he can and the best bargains. I argue that he's a bit similar to me in my workplace because I'm always trying to make the most money possible. I'm like Arkwright in Open All Hours.
Fair enough.
So I guess he could be Quark, right? Maybe.
Possibly.
Ooh, bad joke there, sorry everyone. But trying to turn a profit on anything and any chance to make money, he'll take it. Always results in him getting in trouble.
Yeah.
He always tries to do something to get him some extra money. It's good that Cisco has to keep this all contained on one little ship. One little space station. Although it is missing the key things such as a Mackey's or a KFC.
No.
I guess in the future they don't matter anymore.
Or the gach you can have.
I can't eat gach. It makes me gag just talking about it. Disgusting. It's just, I'm not happy with it at all. If you could go onto a holodeck, what would be your game choice or scenario choice? Would you want to recreate your favorite video game or a holiday destination? What would you be doing with it?
Ooh, is this just anywhere?
This is hypothetical. You've got access to a holodeck. What are you going to do with it?
What am I going to do with it? I am going to recreate the big battle in Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episodes 8 or 9.
Why would you want to recreate a battle?
So it could be there.
Oh, okay.
It's where they're retaking the space station after they initially lose it at the end of Season 5, start of Season 6. So like the big battle that they have, I think it's called Something of Angels, the episode. But yeah, just recreate that, just be literally at the back of the bridge, just like in objective mode, just watching it all unfold, just be like, this is cool.
Look at those guys being killed. That's cool.
I know it's a weird choice, ladies and gentlemen, but that's me.
Hey, not many people would say such thing. You get an opportunity to recreate something. You'd say, I'll go to a nice beach. I'll go to palm trees. I'll go swimming in the ocean with dolphins. No, I want to see a battle where many lives were lost.
Just the experience of it.
Plus, I get that.
Plus, if I want to go to the beach, Crosby Beach is 20 minutes away on a bus.
I guess, all right. It was a terrible question. I'm sorry, okay?
No, they weren't terrible.
It's okay. It's interesting that you'd want to recreate an iconic battle scene. I suppose it's a key moment in the whole Star Trek world. So why not see what it was like from your own perspective?
Yeah. How about yourself?
See, I'd be quite nerdy, mate. I'd probably want to go to like an Arcadia or something, like an old school arcade, like you get in the 80s.
Oh yeah, fair.
And play loads of video games. As nerdy as it sounds, I've often have a soft spot for like seeing an old Arcadia still up and running, or I'll watch something like Tron and they'll play old video games in a lovely bar environment. And I know these days there's plenty of bars and places you can go into in town that have retro video games to play on, but I don't know, just being immersed in that kind of environment, it's just a bit of nostalgia for me. Or as we're on a ship, maybe go to another starship. Like maybe do what like Cisco did and go to the original Enterprise and walk on that bridge, or find out what it's like to be on Voyager before they made it home, or even flying around in the Defiance and seeing Worf do his best work.
Yes.
Who knows? It's a small ship, but it can kick butt.
Yes.
Just like the Klingon that he is. It's a hard one to kind of narrow down, with the possibilities being so endless. You could get up to all kinds of mischief and fun on a holodeck. I kind of remind myself of a scene in Red Dwarf when they went into the virtual world and they were in like a Wild West shootout with character names. They all got given different names, like the cat was the Riviera Kid and stuff like that. And they all had certain powers. And it was all essentially a VR, like we game with nowadays, but they were so immersed in it, they became these characters and they could feel the things that were going on. And that could be fun. They touched on that in Next Generation when they were stuck on the holodeck with various versions of Data in a Wild West environment and all personas were changed. And I kind of like it a bit like that. I wouldn't want it to go wrong, but I think it'd be cool to see your favourite crewmates in an alternate way. So yeah, there's lots of ways you can go down it, but a bit of fun should be had.
Yes, most definitely.
I would like to mention briefly the J.J. Abrams movies.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them or you're a fan of them.
I'm a fan of two of them.
Would that be the first two?
Yes.
Currently, folks, there's the box set is behind me, and this is because all my other Star Trek media is all digital or downloads. The only physical media I have is the J.J. Abrams box set. Now, I do like the first two movies. They're not up there as high-end favourites, but as I said, as an alternative take on the Star Trek world, it's good viewing.
Yes.
Kind of a modern spin. It's kind of like introducing Star Trek to, without sounding like a terrible pun, a new generation. So sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I like the way they went with it. You know, the casting of Simon Pegg as Scotty was great. I don't know if his Scottish accent was that good, but he was a great addition to the cast. Chris Pine was great as Kirk, but it's Zachary Quinto. I think he kind of stole the show as Spock.
Yeah.
Largely because he did so well in Heroes as Sylar, becoming this household name as an evil villain, and to flip it on its head and become this well-to-do, play-by-the-book, emotionless Spock version, a young Spock. It was a great casting choice, and he pulled it off really well. I don't think he got enough praise for it. It was the same when Brandon Routh played Superman. Superman Returns tanked in the box office, but I thought he was great. Superman edition, and did a great job. So yeah, his Zachary Quinto's version of Spock was great, and I thought he stole the show as the main viewing point for the series.
Definitely. I feel like the whole casting as a whole for that crew, considering at the time what Hollywood had and everything like that, obviously you had Robert Downey Jr. being Iron Man, now a different character, but that's a different conversation for another time. A very different conversation. And then obviously you had the recurring characters, like you had Bryce Greenwood as Pike.
Yes.
Then you had Eric Bana as Nero.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the second film, spoiler alert, you had the wonderful, the eccentric, strange Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan.
Well, yeah, we didn't know he was Khan until later on. It's like, oh, it's just like your middle name or something. Oh yeah, it's like Steve Khan Edwards or something. It's like, come on.
And then obviously you had Peter Weller as the Admiral in the second film. He was boss.
I love Peter Weller anyway, but his version of the ship,
The Vengeance,
that was an iconic ship. Absolutely huge.
But then we don't mention the last film. Now, guys, if you want to check out Star Trek Beyond, it is on Netflix or Paramount Plus. You'll see for yourself.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? No.
We'll
just pretend it never happened. We'll just we'll accept the first two. I would like to say that with regards to the first Star Trek J.J. Abrams movie, I loved the inclusion of Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
Because they had that timeline crossover with the alternative Spock. Oh my God, what a great addition. It's another key reason why I go back and watch it every now and then, because it's that lovely nod, like Generations has done, of giving us a nod to the original characters and the original lore and stories that we've grown up with.
Yeah.
It kind of brings it nicely back round to Generations, because I say it's a 30-year anniversary. This film really, really set the bar and the benchmark for Star Trek movies, bringing the future of the next generation, tying in with the original cast and sending us on a great time travel adventure where we get to see our favorite TV show characters given more depth in the movies. Guinan, Whoopi Goldberg's character, gets a great inclusion. She's in both sides of a timeline, so can interact with both versions because she is featured in both. We get Malcolm McDowell, as Tolian Soren. I nearly called him Napoleon Soren. Tolian Soren. He's a bad guy now. I get it. He's just trying to use
the Nexus
technology to get back to the Nexus, which is like this portal of happiness where you live on in your best memories ever. But in order to get there, you've got to like blow planets up so the gravitational pull will pull the Nexus towards you. And that makes him the villain of the piece. But when you see Picard trapped in this Nexus, he thinks he's in a happy place and he realizes it's not a real world. He needs help to get out. I need a captain. I need someone to help me get out. Well, he only goes and finds Captain Kirk, doesn't he? Oh my God, we've got Picard and Kirk in the same room fighting together. I love that little back and forth when they just start on horseback. And he says, like, things are against us and the situation is grim. He says, yeah, you could say that. You know, if Spock were here, he'd tell me that this is an illogical, foolish thing to do.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. It's like, yes, come on.
And then you literally ride into proverbial sunset where it's like gone back and...
That's what I mean. It's so good. Our heroes are riding off into the sunset to kick butt. It's like, oh. And you do get elements of excitement. You do get elements of sadness as well, because obviously this is where we last see Kirk, who sadly doesn't survive a combat sequence. in a honor of respect, there's been rocks placed over his body and his communicator left there as a token of respect. But I thought, oh my God, what a great way to send Kirk off into the unknown by having him team up with Picard to kick Soren's butt.
Yes.
Oh, I love Generations. It's just such a great movie.
Very, very great.
That movie, well, I'm actually referring to First Contact. When they go back and see the original ship that Zephyr Cochrane was going to launch into space and set the warp drive, you have that back and forth between Data and Picard where Picard's touching the side of the ship, which is the feel of it.
Yeah.
He's like, why are you doing that? Well, because tactile touch connects us to history, makes us feel like a part of it because we've only read it in books and stuff like that.
Makes it feel more real.
Exactly. If you're reading a book about the Titanic, you've never been there. If you were somehow able to touch the side of a Titanic piece, you'd feel connected to history. And then Data comes in. All I'm feeling is imperfections in the titanium encasing. Okay. Thanks for that. Love it.
And then where Deanna goes, would you two like to be alone?
They're just both there, men, rubbing their giant rockets. It's perfectly normal. And that's where the smut level takes us. But again, there's so many ways to enjoy Star Trek, whether you're playing a video game, whether you're watching a TV show, a movie, reading. You need to consume Star Trek into your life. It's a great way to enjoy sci-fi, enjoy storytelling, enjoy great visuals. I mean, there's a lot to be said from it. A lot that we've kind of praised it for to be. Do you think you'll ever get bored of being a Star Trek fan?
No, never. It is highly illogical to get bored of Star Trek.
See, that's the most fitting way to pass comment on the whole genre, the whole fandom. Listeners, if you are a fan of Star Trek, do get in touch. You know how to reach out to me by now. It's all at DaveyATalks. I would love to hear your thoughts on this amazing franchise and series of movies and TV shows. Let me know what your characters' favourites are. Let me know your favourite sequences, favourite ships, favourite lines. If you've got something positive about Star Trek, reach out and let me know. It may feature in a future episode. But as we go to wind down, any passing comments or closing comments that you would like to give as we wind our way out of the sci-fi world to bid everyone a fond farewell?
Not much apart from live long and prosper, everyone.
Oh, you did it. You did the phrase. You did the live long and prosper. I can just about do it. I'm doing the hand thing, folks. You can't see it, but I'm splitting my hands like Spock does. Or if you're wearing a Ninja Turtles costume, it could also work for that as well. Or, as a nice nod to our wrestling fandom, you could be Vader. So, you can still throw it out there. It could be Vader. It could be Spock. Who cares? Live long and goddamn prosper. It's been great to talk to you as always, Antony. It's always nice to get you back on the show. And obviously, if you find a reason to come back again, you please feel free to reach out and we'll chat again.
I mean, I think I can probably think of one or two already.
Excellent. Make sure you let me know because we can have you back at any time.
Certainly.
But for now, it's a fond farewell. Listeners, thank you very much for giving me some of your time today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me know what you think in the comments and like, subscribe, follow, press play, all those supportive ways you keep the show going. And I will be speaking to you again soon. I've got more episodes coming up. But for now, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Live long and prosper.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye. I better beam you out. Has he gone? He's gone.